Good evening. Welcome to the Unbroken Channels podcast, Down But Not Out, episode 2. Tonight joining me, we have Kevin. Evening, Kev.
Bonjour. How you doing? You all right?
And we have Angela. Good evening, Angela.
Hello. You can call me Ange if you like. You always have done.
Yeah, tonight we're going to do our sort of little feature around Ange. So to start with, Ange, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Feature around Ange. Surely Kev too.
Yeah, but every episode is going to have a main feature. So I've already spoke to Kev. There will be a feature on Kev. And we are going to chat between us as well about some little things. But the main story to get across tonight is yours. So
You have to edit mine last time.
yeah, we had to do some heavy editing, not to offend anybody. But it's a learning. Yeah.
My WhatsApp message from you.
It's a learning curve to us all.
All right.
So yeah, if you just start off, tell us about your sort of how you got into the military and why, and what you did.
Yeah. All right. So looping back to what I do now, which as a psychotherapist, I had quite a lot of trauma in my childhood, adverse childhood experience and some issues. And a lot of us, as people out there will know, sometimes we join the military because we want a sense of belonging and family. And I kind of did that via Air Cadets first, and then I joined the Air Force. So pretty much how I came in. But I kicked the arse out of it in cadets and just did loads and loads of cool stuff I would never have had the opportunity to do otherwise. And that really helped me get in the military. So yeah, Air Force, 17 years. Girl, because frankly I've never actually grown up. And I left 11 years ago. I was a fighter controller, I think we're now known as aerospace battle managers, or that might have changed again. But I was a weapons controller. So I used to work in a secret underground bunker, controlling the air battle and helping UK fast jets, bombers, fighters, tankers, whatever, to train. And then we would obviously occasionally have to do it for real. I went from there, became an instructor, became a fighter allocator, which is a supervisor, became a training officer, and then I took a side/backward step via 4 months in Optelic with 1AC, and I became an aircrew controller. So I've done 1AC, I've done the bunker, I've done the E3D, which is great, but babies came along. I changed the way that I perceived the world, and I switched from being an operator to being a bit more of a, boring bastard, really. I did a master's degree in engineering and military course, and then I worked in test and evaluation in the Air Warfare Centre until I left. I left when my child was 4 because I was a single mum, and life in the military was no longer conducive to doing that as best I could. Since then, been out 11 years, do loads of different things. I've done maths teaching, I've done engineering consultancy, I've got my own fitness business, teach Pilates, PT, whatever. I've got a few investment properties, and now in the last few years I've retrained, and I am hilariously, to everyone that served with me, now a registered psychic. As you already know.
As we do. So
that is me in a nutshell.
How did you find the transition from leaving the Air Force after 17 years to be a full-time mum?
So I wasn't going to be a full-time mum because I couldn't, because I was on my own and I needed to support me and my little girl. So I was always going to work. I'd been offered 2 consultancy roles, really good pay, but I also wanted to be a teacher. So I actually spent about 11 months of my resettlement volunteering in a school, and I ended up taking a graduate training program, Troops to Teachers place. So I turned down 2 50k consultancy roles to do a 15k Troops to Teachers graduate training program. And that was originally the plan, but sadly after about 6 to 8 weeks, my father in London was really poorly, and I had to leave that as well. So I ended up taking one of the other jobs on 4 days a week. And I thought I'd never go back to teaching. But about 18 months later, the school contacted me and they asked me to come back. I said, I can't really. I've set up 2 businesses. I was already have my own consultancy and my own fitness business, but they kind of said, we don't really want you to do teacher training. You can just come back, be an instructor. I was like, well, what does that mean? So I got back and I loved it. I was a maths teacher at a local secondary school, and my forte was all of the naughty year 10s and 11s, whom I adored when they weren't throwing shit at my face.
Which is what naughty year 11s tend to do.
Well, it gets better, because then I went to do some work for a company called Castles, who look after kids that have been removed from school and that have gone to a unit, and then they're too naughty for the unit, so they go to Castles. And then they asked me to do, for the ones that are too naughty to stay at Castles, to do tutoring one-to-one in open spaces like libraries for kids that were on remand for GBH and stuff like that. So that's kind of...
There's clearly a link, because when you left the RAF, you got offered 2 big money jobs, which you turned away because you wanted to teach. So has it always been in the back of your mind that rather than, like a lot of people do these days, they try and chase the money, you wanted to go into a role that actually helps people?
I love everything I do now. I struggled massively as a teenager, and I wanted to connect with kids. So I did. So I went to do that, and I loved it. And these naughty year 10s and 11s, the small groups, I absolutely got on brilliantly with them. The other teachers would be like, how are you getting them to work like that? And I'd be like, you want to try this? It's really clever. You just need to treat them like human beings, you know? But there were a lot of troubled kids that you weren't really given any sort of time to give support to. So in 2018, I hung it up completely. I left any form of employment and I put myself through therapy training. And I'm now back at that school, and I'm contracted in, and I'm a therapist at my old school doing one-to-one, being able to be there for kids, which is, in my mind, absolutely awesome. So yeah, I do what I love. And actually now, the consultancy was big money. But actually now, this is turning quite lucrative because I'm not doing it for the money, because I do it because I love it, and that brings people, weirdly.
Yeah, I think people like to know that somebody's doing something because they want to, as opposed to I've seen people in the past where, you know, they've got you in their office because they're getting paid for it. There's no connection there. Whereas if you can make a connection with somebody who's, you know, clearly enthusiastic about what they do, I think that's always going to help.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about sort of adaptive sport. We'll get Kevin on this bit as well. So with adaptive sport, we've seen when we went out to Las Vegas, you're an average rower. Slightly below average powerlifter. So what got you into rowing?
So with my average 3 gold medals for rowing and powerlifting, indoor rowing it kind of was and wasn't a thing. I've actually had an erg, we call it, an ergometer, a rowing machine, since before my eldest was born. She's 16 now. I don't really use it properly. I didn't really know what I was doing with it. In the military, I played sport. And when I say I played sport, my God, did I play sport. I played football, I played squash, I played basketball. I used to play for National League football teams. I used to play basketball for the Airforce, combined services. And I did not do what you should do. I never really warmed up, cooled down, stretched, mobilised properly. And I gave myself severe issues. I have severe lower limb osteoarthritis. I had my first surgery 12 years ago. I've had 3 now on the same ankle, and I've been zero impact for 12 years. It's quite a hidden disability. But what people don't recognise is that if I want to go shopping, I need to be off my feet after an hour, or I can't walk next day. If I want to walk my dogs, I need to make it short because it's going to bother me. So indoor rowing was my way to get the fix of hammering myself without impact. That's how I got into it, really. And then the powerlifting is, who doesn't like to throw an Olympic bar up and down, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much how it came about. But my first degree was sports science, so I've always had a passion for the body and and business jobs. As you guys and I and the ones that have joined us on our journey know, we're not just physically foobarred, we've all got massive, some of us, and up and down mental health issues. And for me, biz is a massive part of keeping them kind of dogs at bay.
I think, Kev, you obviously did powerlifting in the US.
Yeah.
You did for the first time shot put and discus. And you've just competed for the first time outside of sort of the, let's say, the veterans community with a civilian sports club. So can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, my powerlifting journey wasn't as good as obviously Andy's because I had some big ass geezers to compete against in the States. I can't remember his name.
DeMarcus.
Yeah, DeMarcus.
That's it, weren't they? Yeah.
So competing against him was quite hard, wasn't it? He could lift. Well, I don't know what he lifted in the end, but it was heavy anyway. And then converting from pounds to kilos doesn't help when you're not that good at maths. So when I went up to the bar for my final time thinking, yes, I'm going to smash that one out, I was too heavy because I got my maths wrong. So it is what it is. But, but and then competing discus and shot put, it was good. It was different to what I've just done at the weekend. How, I wouldn't say the rules are relaxed, but the Americans are more relaxed than us. Our umpires, that I suppose it's with every sport in the UK, some of them are quite rigid, quite bloody straight-necked, to where the US umpires, especially on the discus and the shot, weren't straight-necked. For example, I had, when I was on the chair this weekend, a woman permanently looking at my arse. So if it lifted off the ground, off the seat, and it was this old lady, she must have been about 70 odd, and I kept on looking at her thinking, what's she doing? Because she's holding the flags, and she said to me, I'm watching your arse. I was like, all right. He said that one of your phones has come close where your arse cheek is lifted off the chair. So I was like, okay, then this is a bit different to the US, where we didn't have none of that. So and it was good. I mean, it was the county championships, which it was my first ever outside the veterans community event. But yeah, so for what we do, and Invictus and whatever the Warriors games, I suppose, and what we've done out in Vegas is, when you do it within the civilian world, if we want to call it that, I still call it that. Yeah, it is different, but you've got to take the stiff necks side of it. Where some people can be pretty anal about it.
Yeah.
Even the way you dress, we have to have the proper club tops because there was all different athletics clubs there, and if you weren't represented, they even make you at the weekend put 4 safety pins on your number. If you don't have 4 safety pins on,
Yeah.
Very important, Kevin. Very important.
Yeah. I get that athletics on a Sunday with my lad. And because he's so small, the shirt, the running number pretty much takes up his whole chest. And it's like, where am I meant to pin all these pins? There's literally nothing behind it. So who did you represent, Kev? I know you said last week, but I didn't quite hear it last week.
Gloucester Athletic Club.
Oh, nice.
So the other teams were from around Gloucestershire and that. So it was good. And as I said, it was different, totally different.
So would you recommend them for people that may be listening or see this in the Gloucester area? Gloucester Athletics will clearly have an adaptive sports
totally.
intake.
I wanted to get the message out because when there's open events, any of us who like Wiltshire, Gloucestershire, the Midlands, that's not even that far away. come down and compete, they can cater for everybody. I mean, there's even sports, if you want to do a bit of running, there's, the running side of it, there's the field events, able-bodied and adaptive as well. So anybody can come and compete.
Yeah. Sounds awesome. So flicking back to Angela.
Thank you.
So obviously you were in the same boat as myself and Kev. Didn't quite make the cut for Invictus this year. However, you did come out to Las Vegas and compete out there for 2 weeks. Tell. It's because you were drunk, Kev. So Ange, tell everybody about sort of that experience on the sporting side.
So, not making Invictus when you've been offered what did you get, about 11 days notice?
Yeah, something like that.
An all expenses paid 2-week trip to Las Vegas as a booby prize was kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, Invictus is good, but you know what? My goodness, we had a blast, didn't we?
We did,
So,
yeah.
Certainly did, yeah.
We got 11 days notice. I'm a self-employed therapist. I was like, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. And I was like, well, maybe I can do that. And I went through a list of umpteen names and appointments and said, actually, I'm not going to be around. And I made it happen, and off we went. And it was kind of fascinating, really, because we're all from different walks of life, different services, different disabilities, different mental health issues. And yeah, I guess one overriding word for all of it, more so my team, our team, Team UK, certain characters in particular, utterly inspiring. I am so very fortunate that my mental health issues and my physical limitations are not as vast as some of the other guys that were out there with us. So I'm very, very fortunate. So it's an absolute privilege to be out there with everyone. And how we all did don't really matter, because how we connected and supported each other was amazing. And we've made some seriously good friends for life. And you guys both know we're all still in that group chat, and we chat every day. What sort of experience? Wow. The Americans do not fuck about. So, us three and the rest of Team UK, if people don't know, there's 29 competitors, 2 carers, maybe 7 or 8 staff. And we're there, and we've got an opening ceremony on day 1, and we're in a convoy of these big white buses, like the American yellow school buses. We haven't just got a convoy of big white buses. We've got hundreds of different we've got Harley Davidson gangs, and we've got police on bikes, police in cars, and they made every single traffic light and every single roundabouts, but junction stop for us for the hour journey on the day of the opening ceremony. This is how these guys don't mess it up. Opening ceremony, we're all there, marching in, happy days. Oh yeah, let's have a big parachute escaping. Let's have flypasts and fast jets and helicopter displays and amazing video screen stories of the inspiring characters that were being hosted by. What a start to it! And then of course we opened with the powerlifting, and a certain young lady got the first gold for Team UK. Woo!
I'm gonna edit out the word young.
What do you mean? But when we weren't competing ourselves, we were supporting each other. And when we weren't competing or supporting, we were talking. And when we talked, we really talked. We were brave, we were vulnerable, we were courageous, and we shared our stories in ways that we perhaps might not in other circumstances. And so we kind of had this kind of accelerated connection. And when you talked earlier about, going into therapy and therapists and the rest of it, one of the reasons I became a therapist is because I have so many therapists I didn't connect with. And I thought, crikey, they're rubbish. Can't be that hard, because one of the most healing parts of anything therapeutically is the relationship. So I think for us lot that went out there, and they know this. You know, this is why they do this with us. That our connections that we make with each other are healing, and we're still doing it now, and it's pretty awesome, to be honest.
Yep. It is, definitely is.
Yeah, so obviously we spoke about the sports you medalled in, powerlifting and rowing, but you threw yourself into quite a lot of other sports. Or was it basket? You did basketball.
My main reason for going for the Invictus journey was wheelchair basketball. I adore my basketball. I picked up archery. I've never done it before. I was dog to at it. But you know what? I'll keep going and I'll keep trying. But if you happen to recall what I was like on basketball, you know that is my main passion. I could build it in a china shop, and I absolutely adore it. So that's the thing that I want to push. I think I got lucky to medal in powerlifting. I think I should have medalled in rowing. I've been fitter, but it's my sport. And I made sure I was kind of ready, even though I've had a long COVID journey that's put me back on that. But yeah, basketball's my main thing. Wheelchair basketball. So RBL are really kindly looking to help me get a grant, and I'm going to start trying to pay for a local club. And then, you know, like the rest of you, keep trying for Invictus, because that's what I'd really like to do, is keep up with the basketball and get out there and play it.
Yeah, they're only going to Dusseldorf, so we haven't missed out, have we?
Vegas, Germany, Vegas. Let me think about that for an hour.
Based out there long enough, so we'll get Dusseldorf pretty done.
With the so have you already completed the form for funding for the wheelchair?
No, I need to do that. I have been so busy.
Yeah.
I haven't yet done that, so I need to do that. But the RBL, Lizzie's been coordinating, which has been brilliant.
Yeah, because
the guys from RDK out to measure me up and stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I reached out to a local wheelchair basketball team local to me in Poole, and I do want to go down and give that a shot because, I didn't think I'd be able to manage it, but when we were in Vegas, I had to go in one of the basketball wheelchairs. And actually, I didn't really use my shoulder, if I'm honest.
Quite light and flighty, aren't they?
Yeah. Whereas I think rugby would be a step too far because it's a bit faster paced, but with the basketball, a bit slower. So I'm going to look to give that a shot. Are there any other sports you're thinking of trying out? Obviously, they haven't released a list yet of confirmed winter sports, but
if I got a chance to do winter sports, I would be snowboarding the shit out of it. I absolutely adore snowboarding. In fact, before we went to Vegas, 4 weeks prior, I went snowboarding, and I got whiplash and cracked my ribs, and still ended up going to Vegas with a like a dick. So my ancient, then 48-year-old body on the slopes was not quite in tune with my 21-year-old head, and I broke myself. But I would like to snowboard if I got the chance. I don't know about any other sports. I don't like cycling. I'm not a big fan of swimming. And I think when we look at the way we do it, we do like, 4 sports. And we look at, and maybe if JJ pops in, we can get his view on this. They get to do a lot more.
yeah.
But I don't know if that is positive or detrimental, because actually it does not take its toll on an already slightly wounded body to be trying to compete at such volumes in so many different sports. So I'm quite happy to stick with my 4. I want to get back into the archery and get better at that, because I find that quite meditative, quite good for my mental health. But I'm happy where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean they because they sort of run it, don't they? As they have like it at the end of the day, they have like an ultimate champion, don't they? At the end of each event, where it's the guy that's performed pretty much top of his game in pretty much every sport. There's probably only 10% of people on the team that can actually do every event, I reckon. And I think I looked at it in the same way as in when I started picking sports for Invictus trials. At first, I was like, right, I'm going to do this, like volleyball, I'm going to do swimming, I'm going to do cycling. And I was thinking of all these other sports because people had said to me through their sort of rumour mill, the more sports you can do, the better chance you've got of getting picked.
Yeah.
Because it means they can take less people. But looking at how they've selected the team this year, that clearly wasn't the case. They've picked people who, you know, need that part of, I know it's part of the recovery journey, but they've picked people that some people are only doing one or two sports. So I probably maybe, you know, a few people that have heard the same rumours as me would have shot themselves in the foot because they've tried to take on too much. And that's what I found on my first weekend. Why I thought I'd be able to do sitting volleyball with my shoulder, I have no idea. Exactly. But then the first time I went to try and move fast towards something, it was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And then you sort of feel like a bit of a douche, really, because you're then just sat out of a session that you signed up for.
No, but you have to try. You don't really know how you're going to get on at any of these sports. And as for how, you know, things have been done in terms of selections and victors, it does not matter that we didn't get it. We will get another chance. And
absolutely.
Prioritise people's recovery. And, you know, there's only so many places.
Yeah, exactly.
And didn't we get to have a blast in Vegas? And we'll just keep coming back together because, A, not only do we like the idea of competing, but B, we quite like each other, weirdly.
That is true.
Training weekends is a pretty good deal, you know? I mean,
yeah.
Where it's October onwards, probably we'll start getting back together again. I don't know how it works, but yeah.
Oh, I think we lost Kev.
Oh dear.
I did think he was rather still for a long time. And I was literally just about to ask, are you still there, Kev, or are you really, really still? But we have lost him. He'll come back in.
Well, I think JJ's ready, but he says he hasn't got the link, so I'm just going to go and take it out of the email and send it by text message now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I will take this opportunity just to, I'll send a message to Kev saying he's dropped out. And retrospectively, those that are watching on YouTube, okay, if you want to just listen to the audio, so you can do it while you're walking or just sat chilling and you don't want to waste your data on video, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. If you just search the Unbroken podcast, Down But Not Out, it pops up in your search with quite a vibrant green logo. So yeah, if there is anybody sort of watching the live right now, if you've got any questions for myself and your Kev while we're live, okay, just drop it into the Twitch chat. I am monitoring that. So if you do have a question, it's all good and we can try and get them answered for you.
I'm back to save you from yourself.
Thanks.
So, where's Kev gone?
He's going to try and get back in. He just sent me a message. His internet connection dropped. So he's going to try and get back on. But while we're waiting for Kev, see a picture just above your head, somebody holding like a certificate or something. Can you tell us about that, please?
Right.
I know.
You are very naughty.
In fact, can we have a closer look at that picture?
Such a shit. You know that.
Yeah, so if you're listening on audio, if you go to YouTube, you'll be able to see this picture of Ange when she was
in a former life, right?
Yeah, in a little bit younger, I'm going to say.
Actually, this isn't what I thought it was. I thought this was my Aero Systems grad. This is not my Aero Systems grad. This is my this is my graduation from the E3D operational conversion course. So
nice.
Again, weirdly, I was the only girl on 23 century conversion course in 2000 and 2004. But actually, when I said to you earlier what that was, it wasn't what that was. I got it wrong. But yeah, I used to be very smart, very slim, dark hair crew. Yeah. Back in a former life. Now I sit on my bum talking to people all day. Scruffy sometimes, and I kind of like it.
Yeah. That's what I like about working from home. I literally stick a pair of shorts on and any top I can grab, and nobody can see it, so I don't care.
So JJ will kill me for telling you this. I said, "Are you okay getting?" Not yet. Using the latrine at the moment.
Okay.
Who used the word latrine? Anyway.
Definitely a country boy. But yeah, but I like today's t-shirt though, because this is my 2017 London Marathon finisher t-shirt, nice. Which I just about get my slim toned body back into. So yeah. so it's all good.
Did you have any news from Kev?
No, he messaged to say he's going to try and jump back on. I've sent a reply saying, yeah, just join. Yeah. It'll flash up when he comes back.
So let me turn it round. How are you enjoying doing this podcast? You seem quite natural at it. You're quite happy to kind of hold the space and lead the conversation. And where's this come from in you? What's this about?
So, when I first left the military, I was not in a very good place mentally, and there were lots of things I never used to like to talk about. And then the RBL sort of got involved and jumped in and saved me. But I'll save the long story for another episode, because you can interview me as a feature if you like.
I would like to do that.
And basically, I found through the years of doing PR work that the more I told my story, the more comfortable I got telling it. And it's a bit of a look at me moment, but after I'd done some work, I did an interview with ITV, and after the interview, I got asked where I did my media training.
Because people listening might not know that you do go out and about and you give speeches, you stand up and you go to dinners and you do,
yeah, exactly. But I've never had any media training. But I don't know. I'm just comfortable talking. I'm comfortable speaking to people, whether I know them or not. And I just thought it helped me a lot telling my story, and I hope it's at some point it's inspired somebody in my position to reach out and get help. And then when we were in Vegas, obviously I heard so many incredible stories from lots of different people here and in the US, and I just thought, you know what, those stories need to be heard because they may inspire somebody else, and that's what brought about the podcast. And we've already got a couple of American guests booked who are happy to sort of have a feature done on them. So we'll sort of talk about their lives for 30 minutes and hopefully widen the audience and get a little bit more support. And hopefully this is something that can grow and expand and go on for many years.
That would be very cool. And I think with you and I, the way that we connected in Vegas was because we are very open, very vulnerable, able to go there, genuine, authentic connection. And for those that are listening, like Mick and his roommate Lee became my Vegas brothers. We're like brothers and sisters, knocking about that last week and a half, having such a laugh, but just feeling held and safe, like with each other. Because, all right, it's obviously not that hard a time being out there in Vegas, but we were a long way from home. And, knowing that you had found a new mate that you could go, do you know what, mate, I'm having a wobble today. And even me and you at one point, we were like, I forgot to take my meds, it sent me crazy, so did I. Right, let's text each other every morning, don't forget to take your meds.
Yeah.
Having each other back, we were, weren't we?
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, and this is something I took away. It's like when sort of people, when I came back and sort of people were like, oh yeah, 2 weeks in Vegas, that's all right though. Must have been a great laugh. And they don't understand where we are sometimes mentally. And although, yes, Vegas, amazing, met lots of new people, but, my main support since I've been out of the army has been my wife. And that's really the first time I've been away from her for that length of time in a long time. So it was strange. So I was grateful that I managed to find, new friends who were on that level and able to speak, about the things that I wouldn't really tell people about. So it's like, who was I chatting with? I think it was walking down the strip. It was either Andy O or somebody else, and they asked me a question about how I first got involved with the Legion, and I sort of jumped in with, got medically discharged, was in a bad place, wanted to kill myself, and he was like, bloody hell, that came out really easy, and I was like, well, yes, but I never used to want to say it, but now it's just like, why shouldn't I say it? That's where I was at the time. And unfortunately, I have lost some colleagues from my friendship group since I left the army, because some people just don't like to see progress in a person, and they always try to take it back to a negative space. So I sort of learned now that any negativity, see you later. I don't need that in my life.
We grow and we change, and as we grow and we change, we sadly do leave people behind. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with them or the connection. It's just different now. And I think a lot of our growth is about learning much more so than we used to put ourselves first, to choose us, to choose presence, to look after our own well-being. Whereas we might have always before been worried about what others thought and wanted to be there and trying to fix and rescue everyone else. And now it's turned inwards. Now we're like, check out the dude in the mirror. They need you more than anyone. They're the one that's got your back.
Yeah, exactly.
Need to become a nice addition to a nice life. We don't need to depend on anyone. We need to be nice and strong, loving ourselves, and then letting people like me and you, when we connect, go, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Girl,
Yeah, and I am planning when when the weekends all kick off again, the training weekends for IG25. I will be sort of doing some live on location recording for podcasts as well, so we can sort of highlight the training journey a little bit as well, and just show people, get some videos and show people actually what's involved with some of the other sports. Because I think it's better for people to see potentially those of us that haven't been doing it a long time, or we're going to try something new, as opposed to, you go on YouTube, yes, you can find adaptive sports, but most of the time it's people that are already at quite a good level. And I think if they see people like me, who never really been in a wheelchair in my life, bit of wheelchair basketball, it's going to show that actually you can go in from nothing and
anyone can give it a go.
Give it a go.
Point to raise. So there's two aspects. So one, I'm really lucky. I live in Lincoln, and there's something called activity. And my very good friend, I will mention his name, Jim Claffey. I've known him for probably nearly 20 years. We play basketball and all that time. And he now works at activity, but he also set up Lincoln Basketball. But they've set up a wheelchair sports thing. And anyone can go. It doesn't mean you have to have a disability. You can rock up and you can get in a chair and you can have a go. So it's got to be worth a try for people that do struggle. But coming back to us and Victor, I haven't applied before, ever. I've been out for 11 years. I've been disabled for 12 years, but I've never applied. My first ever Victor's experience was last September in Sheffield. Whole new ball game. I don't know about you, but I noticed there are people that have been coming year on year in, year out, and there's maybe a bit of a cliquey thing going on. Okay, that's fine, that's them, it's not me. I just want to learn how to play the sport, which is new to me. I need to be given patience by others because I don't know the sport, and so should anyone. When we're coming into this and looking to learn, we need to learn. There's a bit of space and time needs to be allowed for that. So I don't know about you, but I look forward to it being a bit of a less rocky journey next time, and I hope that the people that are experienced at Invictus can have a little more patience for those of us that are coming in for the first time, because it can be hard, it can be daunting, and we're not well,
Yeah.
We're struggling, and so we need to be held, not kind of, who's that coming along,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was never the same for me.
You had a similar experience.
Yeah, it was my first crack at the whip as well. I think what I found was, like I say, at every camp there were lots of lots of people that clearly knew each other, had done sports with each other or Invictus trials before for a fairly long time. And I won't say it was 2 secs with
I will just add why
Kev can't get back on.
Oh, the majority of people were just wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, embracing of us, you know, the ones that have been there for a while. It was only the odd occasion where you felt a bit like, ooh.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And I didn't want to. If I seen a group of people who were clearly knew each other and were, you know, had that level of banter already, I didn't feel comfortable stepping into that group.
Yeah.
But then, you know, eventually, you know, people approach you, and you know, I only met Andy O a couple of times, and you know, what a guy.
Oh, don't big him up. He'll get a big head.
Yeah, I don't.
Love, isn't he?
You know what I mean? I didn't meet you or Lee until Vegas.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But
Lee's been down to see you since.
He has, yeah. He came down to watch a Bournemouth game.
On the phone all the time, don't
we? Yeah. Well, I invited him down. We had a my missus threw a 2 secs. My missus threw a Eurovision party at the weekend on Saturday, and I invited him down for that. But he rodded me off for some chick, I think. So.
That time I caught up with you, Lee.
Yeah. So fair. But you know, he's a busy boy. But with Invictus applying, why do you think it took you so long to apply?
Life's busy, right? You know about my life. I've got 2 kids. I'm self-employed. My husband's a full-time carer, and my youngest has got complex needs. He's adopted. We've been fighting fires for years. I literally haven't had time to shit, shower, or breathe, to be perfectly honest. And it's only really this last kind of 9-10 months that I've thought, okay, like I've said a minute ago about putting ourselves a bit, you know, first a bit more. That was me going, what do I want to do? And that was really, in all honesty, the first opportunity from a pressures of work and family perspective that I've had to do it. I'm bloody glad I did.
Yeah. See, for me, I think it was more. I'd seen Invictus on telly a few times when it was with Help for Heroes, and because I'd been doing quite a lot of stuff with the Legion. Lee's watching, by the way, because he just sent me a message that I didn't mug you off at the weekend. Hi, Lee.
Tell him I need the update on wait, you don't need to tell him. I can tell him, Lee, I need the update on, you know what, you've gone quiet.
Yeah. But yeah, what I found was the I don't know, because I've been working with doing stuff for the Legion for a while. When they took it on, I already felt comfortable within that charity space, so I thought I'd give it a go. But then I think people are still a little bit ignorant to what Invictus is. Like, you know, a simple thing like I got asked by a student, oh, where you go in the weekend, you know, seen like your bike and stuff downstairs, la da da. So, well, I'm going to an Invictus training camp straight after work. And the first thing they said was, I thought that was for disabled people. And you're like, yeah, it is, but you know, one, not all disabilities are visible. And I know people love that line. But you know, it's not just about helping those with physical injuries. You know, we've been away in Vegas with guys with, you know, severe PTSD. Some people have got mental health issues, you know, that just stem back from whether it's childhood, just generally how they may have been treated at a time in their life. Not everything has to be traumatic. And I think people don't really understand that yet. I think as a country we're getting better.
Yeah. And this is something I talk to my clients about. You know, there are studies that kind of proven that if 100 men, women go into battle and they all face the same risk of death or injury of their colleagues, the same kind of shocking and traumatic occurrences, actually only sort of 15 to 20% of them will come out with PTSD. And when they've looked at this, there is a extremely high correlation between those that come out with PTSD and those that have previous adverse childhood experience. So as a therapist who specialises or is learning to specialise in trauma, it's really important to acknowledge that trauma gets layered upon. You know, complex PTSD becomes complex because it is one thing after another. And PTSD is, you're going to be predisposed to it if you grew up not really being taught properly how to be a human because you have an adverse childhood. It's a really tricky thing to navigate. And I've lived it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Which is why you ended up in the line of work you're in now. But yeah, for
I'm drinking wine every night.
yeah, exactly. Got to get through the day. I should have a drink really, but these new meds I can't yet. I don't think. The I found I had the psychiatrist this week, and he's gone along the lines of, he totally agrees with previous diagnosis of depression and adjustment disorder, and just so I don't know, so people have got an understanding of it. Certainly with an adjustment disorder, is, you know, a lot of people seem to think that the adjustment disorder for me was leaving the army after 17 years. Now, don't get me wrong, adjusting at that point in my life was hard, and that's where the first diagnosis came in. But what people don't then understand is, with my shoulder, because it gets worse year after year after year, you know, just about to have the 5th surgery on it. What it actually needs, they can't do until I'm 60. But the adjustment never really stops, because every year I'm having to cut something else out of my life that I enjoy doing. And people don't they don't see that. And I know sort of these days, and like I said it on the first one, I think it's important, especially if you're listening, for people, no matter who you are, how old you are, if you've got a mental health problem, or you think you're a little bit down, a lot of the time, you should speak to somebody. And I think it's important as well that if you think, you know somebody who's struggling, I know you're starting to see a lot of ad for this. It's now ask twice. You know, ask them how they're doing. First answer, they're definitely going to say, I'm okay. Ask them again. Because I know how hard it was for me to speak out for the first time.
Yeah. And it's that adjustment that people don't realise quite how big it is. I mean, the parallel that I have is basketball was my life. I adored it. I played it for the Air Force. I ran, coached and played in the local men's team at RF Waddington. I organised them being in the league. I was at it 3 to 5 times a week, and then I couldn't do it anymore. That's a loss. That's grief, you know? That's a bereavement. In terms of the seeking help, I view, and I talk to clients about this, people go for therapy for kind of 3 different approaches, really. First thing that's really important to say is don't let anyone push you to go to therapy. Therapy will not work if you're not there of your own accord. Next thing that's important to say is the relationship within the therapy is way more important than the actual therapy. If you don't feel safe, held, trusted and empathised with and liked, it ain't going to work. And people will go to a therapist and they'll think, oh, it's not quite right, but I'll keep going back, it must be me. No. Go and try a few different people. Don't think twice about not going back to one if they're not your cup of tea, because frankly, not everyone is everyone's cup of tea. Some of us find it hard to find a good fit than others, and that's what I did as a client. That's why I wanted to be a therapist. But the 3, I think, approaches to therapy are this. You've got your train smash approach. It's all gone horribly wrong. I am broken. Please, can you help fix me? You've got your aspirin approach. There's a rumbling. Something's coming. It's going to be bad. I'm spotting it before it comes. I need to go and get some help. And then you've got your vitamin approach. This is like, I I think what we kind of tongue-in-cheek talk about the Americans and the way they think about therapy. Your vitamin approach is, do you know what? I'm all right, but I want to stay all right. So you go for therapy. 3 different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
Therapy works, yes. Does it work hand in hand with meds? Of course it can. People who are on meds like you and I for lots of different reasons. I'm not anxious. I'm not depressed. But I am on antidepressants. Why am I on them? Because I keep going in and out of compassion fatigue and burnout, parenting a developmentally traumatized child. They help me. They help me stay level. So there's lots of different reasons for people being on meds that help with mental well-being, and there shouldn't be stigma. I have no qualms sitting in front of my clients saying, "Your therapist on antidepressants, I hope that's okay with you." They need to know, because it isn't a stigma. We can get this help if we need it, and it's important for people to be accepting of that.
Yeah, but that also gives you something that maybe other therapists don't have, and that's experience in being treated.
Yeah.
How it made you feel, especially when you didn't connect with a client. So you've got that extra awareness, so that helps. And Lee, if you're still watching, I think it's quite rude that you're watching on Twitch. Yeah, on my stream manager, I haven't seen you click the follow button to follow the stream. What's that about? No more football tickets. No more football tickets.
Our American friend is working on it, but I'm not sure how he's getting on.
Has he even got Microsoft Teams?
He's out and about, and he's on his mobile.
Okay.
It works on his mobile.
Yeah, it should do. If he's got Teams, it should do. Yeah, I think you have to have the app on mobile. It's not a problem if you can't get on tonight. We'll get another one.
We'll do it another day.
Yeah, exactly. It's an early time to say goodbye now. Anyway, we're about to hit that limit.
Yeah.
There's not too much I need to edit out tonight, which is good. I can't sign in to my old account yet. All I'm hearing is excuses. Make a new one.
Exactly.
Lee. But anyway.
Looks like we're just getting in. Are you seeing anything?
No, not yet. Hang on. Tell you what, we'll give it a minute. Just so we can say hi.
Say hello. Say hello.
Here we go. Little tick. Good evening, USA.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, yeah.
That's an epic fake background.
Do you like it?
I don't know how to do that. I said that earlier to Kev. I'm like, I've just got my actual background.
Yeah, so those watching, listening, this is Jay, or Justin, who's just joined us. He's in the USA, so a bit of a time difference. But the first time I met JJ, I think the first thing I got told about him was you were quite a big deal.
Well, kind of.
Kind of a big deal.
kind of.
Yeah. So how's it going with the warrior training?
Doing well. We just had our training camp for our Warrior Games Challenge that'll be coming up in a couple weeks now. Actually, June 1st is when we take off for that, and we ended up tying that training camp in with a local para sport event, and I think I did pretty well.
Did you medal?
I think I did pretty well. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I did medal.
Nice.
I took gold in all my events.
So you're still kind of a big deal.
Yeah, just kind of.
That's awesome, mate. So, are you looking forward to Warrior?
I am actually. It's going to be in beautiful San Diego, California, and I'm looking forward to not sweating everywhere profusely as I do here in San Antonio.
Well, what was the temperature over there this week then?
During the event, the temperatures were roughly between 85 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the humidity, it made it that much more disgustingly hot.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, Warrior San Diego, Invictus Dusseldorf.
In September, yes.
We'll ask you. I'll ask you a question now, and we're coming towards the end of the episode anyway. But I do want to get you on for a bit of a longer session at some point for a bit of a more in-depth look into your recovery. But just so I've got it on recording, how many medals are you going to take at Invictus?
At Invictus. Well, I'm going to take as many as they'll let me.
So all of them.
Yeah. As far as events that I'm allowed to participate in, I know archery, field, throwing discus, maybe shot put, and then swimming and air rifle shooting.
Oh, they've got the rifle shooting.
Yeah, and then I've got seated volleyball as well.
Nice. So you're going to be a busy boy, or man, should I say?
So, boy, girl, yeah, whatever. I guess it's all perspective at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we've just hit the limit for an episode length. So those that have listened in, thank you very much for listening and watching. JJ, thank you for joining us for a few minutes.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's awesome, and it's good to see you. Good to hear from you. And
same with you.
Ange, you've been amazing.
I will do yours, like you said, right?
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah, you can. When it's my spotlight episode, Ange will be doing my questioning.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Thank you. Privilege.
Okay, Anne. Goodbye.
See you later.